Back to the channel. We are here for another video. Now this one is interesting. What Canadians think of Americans. Yeah. So we're gonna check this video out. It was made 9 years ago. So like what, 2004, 2016, or maybe 2015, depends on the date. Let's see what date it came out. 2000. Yeah, the date's not on there. So it says 9 years ago. So probably 2016, 2014, 15. Let's see what they had to say about the Americans 9 years ago, 10 years ago. If there's a video like this that has came out today in 2025, please let me know, or 2024, let me know, and I'm going to check it out. Besides that, let's go get into this video.
It's Monday afternoon on the remarkably multicultural campus of Ryerson University in downtown Toronto. A lot of these students are new immigrants or second generation. Others belong to the big city's dwindling white population. But their bond is their Canadianism, a shared patriotic cockiness bordering on smug, if polling data is to be believed. Even the newest arrivals seem to have internalized that to be Canadian is to somehow live on a higher moral plane, especially with regard to certain others.
We can think about national identity as having...
Those others are the subject of Tracy Rainey's Canadian Studies class today.
We need to build up a national identity. On average, Canadians are more likely to say that they would rather be a citizen of Canada than any other country, that the world would be a better place if more citizens were like Canadians were, that we are, in some respects, superior to Americans.
To her students, though, in some respects, barely begins to express it.
Let me...
Superior? Now, hold on. Do you guys... Now, I have a lot of Canadians on the channel. Do you guys feel superior to Americans? Let me know in the comment section, please. That superior word, man, it's a tricky word.
Rainey tests the question.
Generally speaking, Canada is better than the United States. Could we see a show of hands who would agree with that? Okay. Versus a show of hands, keep your hands up in the air. Okay, so generally speaking, Canada is a better country than the United States. Keep your hands up in the air. And then let me change the question and go back. Generally speaking, Canada is a better country than most countries. Okay. So there's something particularly about the United States.
Indeed there is, where these young people are concerned. Listen to some of these opinions. Keep it short, give me a couple of words.
Americans are pompous.
I think they're ignorant. I think Americans are addicted to war.
Discriminatory.
Just about no one had a positive word.
They're like frenemies. They're friends and enemies at the same time.
Pushy. Pushy, pushy, pushy.
They are a little bit power hungry.
Arrogant is the first word that comes to mind when I think of Americans.
Of course, it's not...
When Trump was speaking yesterday, all that stuff that they said, that's what he represents. This is not all Americans though, man. See, that's the thing. This is not all Americans. But let's continue the video. I will dive and we'll talking. But that hurts. It hurt me watching this.
Something new, the Canadians describe themselves first and foremost as not Americans. But as Canadian self-confidence grows, and pollsters say it is most definitely growing, the old knee-jerk anti-Americanism, the resentment born principally of Canadian insecurity, seems to have morphed into something else, a supercilious conviction of moral superiority. Just read the online postings at the end of columns about America in Canadian news websites. A few recent excerpts from the CBC's site. American politicians preaching complete gobbledygook under the guise of nauseating American patriotism and belief in God is pathetic. That...
Oh, hold on, what? What are you talking about? Being complete gobbledygook. I said, what is gobbledygook? Under the guise of nauseating American patriotism and belief in God is
pathetic.
Pathetic.
That drew 273 thumbs-up approvals from readers. Or, the United States is the most backward country in the developed world. 240 thumbs up. Or, the collective citizens of the U.S. are as dumb as bricks, and so on. Pollster Michael Adams.
Oh, this is tough, bro. This hurts. The average American U.S. citizen is dumb as bricks. Oh my God, I need to replay that. No, the collective citizen. Oh my gosh.
Backward country in the developed world, 240 thumbs up. Or the collective citizens of the U.S. are as dumb as bricks, and so on. Pollster Michael Adams has studied such attitudes in depth.
Well, 5 years ago, Neil, I would have said we would feel morally superior. We're the kinder, gentler society. We're multicultural. We have health care.
Sidney Crosby.
But now, says Adams, it's something more. Canada's celebration of Olympic victories over Americans verged on jingoism. And the mission in Afghanistan, says Adams, has Canadians feeling they are pound for pound better war fighters than the Americans too. Oh, and unlike them, we can mock ourselves.
We're confident enough to make fun of ourselves, and in that sense we feel superior because we then are even more ironic. It's like being the smart kid who feels smarter than her little brother who doesn't get it. Well, we feel like the smart older sister who gets it.
Talking to America! Nothing distills that notion like Rick Mercer's famous Talking to Americans skits. Essentially, Mercer exploits the American eagerness to engage with strangers, no matter how silly the topic.
I had no idea that Canada was on a 20-hour clock. But it's actually the same amount of time, but just our minutes are longer.
Okay.
By American standards.
Well, I think it should be switched.
Yeah.
Canada, please move to the 24-hour clock.
Hi, I'm Governor Tom Vilsack from Iowa. Canada, congratulations on your new 24-hour clock.
There are differences of perspective.
Yeah.
Gordon Giffen has heard it all. When he was the American ambassador to Canada and traveled the country from one end to the other, one theme stood out.
As a country, as a people, Canadians were more generous, more thoughtful, more caring, more courteous, and more global in their perspective than Americans. And then usually they'd conclude by telling me that Canadians were also more modest than Americans. And I found a little irony in that, but
they did.
Not particularly.
Giffen also heard a lot of this.
I think of them as selfish just because they don't take the same time that we do to learn about them as they do us.
As I traveled Canada, I'd get a lot of people who would say, well, we know everything about you, you know nothing about us. And I'd say, well, tell me everything you know about Kansas. And people's eyes would glaze over, or, you know, Nebraska or Arkansas.
Here's a few other things Canadians don't know about Americans. They give more to charity than any other nation, and far more per capita than Canadians do. Americans work harder and more productively than Canadians.
Oh.
They send more aid abroad, even on a per capita basis, than anyone else. And where Canadians are concerned, while Americans might not have studied the nation to their north, they seldom have a mean word to say.
In our darkest hours, Canada has been with us.
NBC's Tom Brokaw broadcast an essay about Canada during the Olympics.
Yeah,
Jesse the Sponge. Canadians
I did a
are
reaction,
so generous.
didn't
They share with us their brightest stars in music, comedy, acting, sports, and journalism.
And here was the result when we took a paper and pen down to DuPont Circle here in DC. We simply asked people to write down one word about Canada. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Washington.
Oh man, it's over with. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, you talk about some. Well, hold on. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You talk about somebody, how dumb they are, and this and that. Then you say you're modest. But some of those things are facts. Like Americans don't know much about Canada. We're not taught a lot about Canada in school. That's true, And what the journalist said probably goes for you guys as well when they said that they don't know, like, tell me something about Kansas, and they couldn't tell them nothing about Kansas. Okay, you know, it depends on what history we're talking about. A lot of he's talking about states and things of that nature, and then it depends, man. I don't want to get into that conversation because there's probably a lot that you guys don't know about America if we get down into details and get precise on certain things. But, you know, and it's a lot that Americans know about Americans that Canadians don't know about America. And there's a lot that Canadians know about Canada that Americans don't know about Canada. That's normal. That's normal. But let's see how we can evolve. I'm trying to get my knowledge together, you know, and then, you know, as I get my knowledge together, I'm gonna pass on the knowledge to my seeds and try to, you know, change this thing one person at a time. It's all about wanting to get to know about your neighbor or about other countries in the world. Stop not being selfish and not thinking that America is the only country that matters, because that's not true. But that's how the world see us, and that's how we're kind of groomed in America to think like this. Like nothing else matters, just America. But as I traveled around the world and seen different countries and met many people, you have to open up your mind. You have to get out of your box. You have to get out of your bubble and go see other places, and you'll see that everyone matters in the world. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys thought about the video. I like the video. It was 10 years ago, and today, you know, I don't think much has changed. I still know that a lot of people think that Americans are ignorant and only think about themselves. It was tough watching that, man. It was tough watching it because, you know, the truth hurts. For real. But anyway, see you guys in the next video.